Is this thing on?
It's on.
We good? All right, I'm Ben. This beautiful brick building right behind me is the Santa Ana Coffee Shop. It's where we do our roasting. It's where we do a lot of things like make coffee, drink coffee, hang out, laugh, joke, funny, haha. And yeah, that's where we're at. This question is one that I absolutely sometimes laugh and chuckle about because I like to answer it differently. I didn't ask to be in coffee. I actually didn't wake up one day and it's like, hey, I'm gonna choose to open a coffee shop. I had the opportunity. I was 21 years old. I just got back from my second deployment in Afghanistan and had the opportunity to jump into a family business. And for me, it was one of those things that I viewed it as being a 21-year-old guy, not really fully knowing what I was gonna do. I did know I wanted to be a business owner. That's the one thing I've known forever. But I did not know it would be coffee. And again, it just started as a family opportunity and I jumped in the only way I know how, and that's just go for it, dive in, figure things out, and ended up falling in love with the coffee industry and what it is. And here we are 13 years later. So coffee, types, beans, drinks, I'll answer both. And it's also ironic because my coffee palate has changed over the years, which is another ironic thing. When I was first starting, back in 2010, it was all about different espresso drinks. Look at these guys. Come on.
Whoa, whoa.
Look at them. Yeah.
Whatever he said.
As you can tell, we don't have fun. Anyways, coffee beans, currently, I think my go-to that we have is our Guatemala La Leona. It's a coffee that we've had for a couple years now. And then our Peru is just kind of go-to right now. It's more of a daily coffee drinker coffee. Versus before, and that's what I was saying earlier, is I used to love the really exotic, bright coffees, your Ethiopians, your natural pea berry style, just in your face coffees. But as I've kind of progressed and have been in this a long time, my palate's just changed. I want something that's gonna taste really good, but I also want something that I can drink like a gallon of because I'm tired all the time. I don't know if that fully answers, but I think it does. And then as far as other beverage, I go to my drink is a cappuccino. I love cappuccinos.
Cappuccino for John?
Just the way the espresso balances with just creamy milk. Oh.
I love it.
No, first thing I like to do each and every morning is have right here, a fine good cup of black coffee. That's what I like to start my days off with, is just a black coffee. My wife and I, it's a thing that we do almost every single morning together. We share a cup of coffee, try to spend a few minutes together every morning, and it's something that has become just part of our daily life and something so special and unique to us. So I always start with black coffee, and then either through the day I'll switch to a cappuccino. When you're starting out, usually the romanticism of coffee is alive and well, right? Meaning pour overs and trying to figure out which beans to extract the proper way with the hot, proper water temperatures and all that other fun stuff. I love that, I support that. I think if you're starting out, get yourself a really good scale, a good hot water kettle, and whatever brewing device you want to use. I prefer the Chemex because if I'm going to make coffee for myself and my wife, I can make a Chemex versus having to do a couple pour overs at once. The big thing is making coffee as we go. So hot water, scale, brewing device, filters, and obviously good beans. I would highly suggest this place called Hidden House. But there's also a lot of really great roasters out there, so you just gotta try, mix, match, and do all that fun stuff. But most important that you are weighing your coffee out and you're weighing the water out as you're brewing as well. It'll help just with a lot of consistency and then proper water and the correct temperature. But I try to not complicate it.
Got all the mainstream stuff available. What's your technique?
Honestly, I wouldn't drink coffee. If there was nothing around, I don't drink coffee for the caffeine. I drink coffee for the taste. I love it. It's a part of literally everything I do. Oh, hey, hi. It's okay, we're just hanging. I probably wouldn't, and I don't mean that in coffee snobby way. I just, again, I drink coffee for many other reasons besides the caffeine. And so what I would do is I would go to any of those coffee shops and I would probably get a green tea.
Green tea?
With honey. Unless I walk into a random shop, usually we'll find a good local shop, right? And I usually will buy a coffee because I want to support. And I'll usually take a sip, and if it's drinkable, I drink it. If it's not, I respectfully don't drink it. But I'll usually go green tea. That is a great question. There's been these waves, right? So you have first wave, your second wave, your third wave of coffee all these years. And honestly, I never really fully understood the third wave, and I understand it. It's taking a a product that you can be really proud about, high quality, sourcing, to the way we present ourselves, to the way we treat people, to the brewing methods, to the equipment, to the feelings and the quote unquote vibes of your store, all that stuff. I understand it. The one thing I never fully understood was pretentiousness to all of that. My whole thought about that is just take whatever product you're doing and make it as best as you can so everyone can enjoy it. It's really that simple. So when it comes to trends, Hidden House, honestly, we've never really followed any. We've kind of been doing our own thing, to be 100% honest. You obviously find coffees that we like, farmers that we want to work with, all that fun stuff. But as far as trends, I genuinely think we're in a season of so many people thinking that they can open a coffee shop by just popping up some really cool equipment, some aesthetic looks, and rocking and rolling, which you can. But I don't think there's longevity in that. I think the longevity comes from, it's everything. It's how you do things. It's the way you treat people. It's, again, the approach we've taken is finding the products that we want to sell or products that we want to represent and just doing it as best as we can so it's enjoyable for every single person. And so as far as the trends, honestly, I'm not 100% sure. I don't pay attention to them. It's all noise to me. And I just stick within our own lane and we just do what we do. Yes.
Our jobs, what's going on?
Oh, dude, we went to a show recently and there was some robot getting like coffee and stuff. And I was all about it, like joking around with whoever was at the show with me. It was our roaster and our production team. And I was like, oh, dude, those guys, they're coming for us. I think no. I think there's a way to utilize, not necessarily robots, but all this new advances in technology, there's a way to utilize them so we can mainstream things as business owners, but never take away the heartbeat behind what we do. That's what makes Hidden House so unique. It's the pulse behind everything we do. It's not just this brick and mortar place. It's not the beans you can buy online. It's not our merch. It's the heartbeat that keeps everything going. And I think that, to go back to the other question too, is what gives longevity. And that, to me, is our own trend. And it's the way we do things. And it's the genuine spirit behind the actual business. Oh, business ownership, and specifically, I guess if we're talking about the coffee shop. But when we first started in Orange County, there's so many things, so many variables, but specialty coffee wasn't as big. This is 2009, 2010. And the location we picked, it just was, again, it started as a cool dream of a family wanting to do this cool little coffee shop in this old historic house. But there were so many challenges. There's challenges that every business faces, and then there's challenges that we face in particular. But the ones that I like to highlight are so real, and when I share them with people, still to this day, 13 years later, it really surprises some people. And to those, I'll say that when we first opened, one, we didn't really know what we were doing, right? Coffee shop. It wasn't really something that I could go on Google and search as much back then. But the biggest struggles for us were, once we opened, you expect that people are gonna flock to you. You expect that you're gonna have sales, that you have customers, that you have all these things. And that wasn't the case back then, especially in downtown San Juan Capistrano. It wasn't necessarily a place that people hung out at or went to. And so for us, there was days we did $20 in sales. And to think back on that and to look back on that, those struggles in itself are obviously financial struggles, right? Like, are you gonna pay bills? How are you gonna pay rent? How are you gonna get supplies? Those are all the struggles that happen. But the lack of sales, the lack of people that were even in that area was something that was very unique and distinct to that area. And so at the beginning for us, it was a grind, like a literal grind. I was working 7 days a week, open to close, having to figure things out, freshly home from the Marine Corps, this young 22-year-old kid thinking I had everything figured out, right? Again, looking back at it and putting my pride and ego aside, I thought I was a hotshot, an invincible guy, went to 2 combat deployments and thought this was gonna be a piece of cake. And again, realizing that if I didn't grind this out, if I didn't work this thing every single day, that we wouldn't have a coffee shop, that it wouldn't be there, that we wouldn't make it. And I think that was our biggest struggles. And so it was a matter of essentially putting my entire life on hold to make sure that I put everything that I had into this place. So I think that is the highlight struggle I would like to talk about, because again, people don't People don't see that now. You try to go down there now, you could wait 30 minutes in line sometimes. And something that I'm super proud about, obviously, but going back to those days, I still remember it, working there and having hours of doing nothing because no one was coming in, and trying to figure out, how are we gonna do this? How long do I wanna do this? And praying things would change. So that's the one struggle I'll talk about today. A piece of advice for someone wanting to start their own business, we'll keep it within the coffee genre for this second, or coffee-esque. I would say, outside of a brand and a location and all that fun stuff, you yourself need to be at a place that you're willing to do whatever it takes, literally whatever it takes. And that's what I'll say. That's the piece of advice. Be in your right mindset and be in a place where in your heart you know that you can give 150,000% of yourself for however long it takes. The second you decide to take that leap and that jump into creating your own thing, it's you gotta hustle, you gotta have grit. And the more gritty you are, the better chances you are to be successful. Oh baby, mistakes, failures, obstacles, doubts, fears, it's all part of it, right? And if I had to pick over the last 13 years, mistakes that I have made, I would say there's one in particular. It's when Hidden House went from 1 to 4 stores in less than a fiscal year. And I won't even necessarily say it was a mistake, because I gained so much knowledge during that time that I got a Harvard education of School of Hard Knocks, but it is what it is. So we expanded too fast and into places that I probably shouldn't have expanded in, which means we acquired a lot of debt. We grew from a small size company to a decent sized company, but I also wasn't in the right place to be able to handle all of that. And that's something that I had to look within, and I had to understand that maybe if I would have been a little bit better off in my own quote unquote business journey or further along, maybe I wouldn't have made some of those mistakes, but I don't regret any of them for a second. And so I would say the expanding of our company way too fast. The question was, again, doubts and fears and thoughts that can cannibalize you into not wanting to take a step. The answer to that is going to be different for every single person and where you're at in your own journey. And I would say, again, my life's motto over the last several years has become the word grit. When you think of grit, most people think of like a rough sandpaper or whatever it is, but being gritty is something that is a characteristic that entrepreneurs need, that business owners need, that leaders need, because there's gonna come a time, there's gonna come a place, there's gonna come a moment, there's gonna just come a time where something doesn't go right. And it can be devastating. It could be something simple. It could be something extreme. It could be a fire in your store. It could be a lawsuit. It could be, I don't know, you don't have enough staff to do everything, so you got to roll your sleeves up and jump in. I would just say to that, like, be gritty. And I can't stress that enough. Like, grit plus determination and perseverance and the relentless pursuit of achieving what you want is what's gonna enable you to excel above and beyond where you thought you could go. We are capable of so much more than we give ourselves credit. And I'm preaching to myself too, but it's one of those things that I had to learn, and I had to realize that I have a lot more to give than I thought I did. And learning to harness that, learning to utilize that, learning to leverage that, learning to put self aside and put the object and the goal in front is what I think genuinely helps me, at least in my daily life, and the advice that I give to people now. I love to train jiu-jitsu. We're gonna go that way. Spend time with my family and just being present. And we're at a stage right now in my life that my kids are just so much fun right now. They're something new every day. And so that outside of training jiu-jitsu and playing hockey, it's more of just a lot of family time, quality time. And that's what helps me unwind. It's what keeps me grounded. It's what enables me to hopefully just keep being the best me. Honestly, I don't really have like something I can think of that we love pizza, In-N-Out, typical Southern California, I get it. Go ahead, laugh, haha. Dang, I don't know. Fun fact, I am a sucker for rom-coms. Love them, don't care what people say. They're hilarious, they're feel good, they're funny. I guess I'm a bit of a romantic, can't help it. But How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days, like, how do you not like that movie? Let's see, what else? People are probably gonna laugh. Hitch, one of my all-time favorite movies. But then a classic that I absolutely love is Bloodsport with Jean-Claude Van Damme. So I was gonna say, let's walk, I forget how cool of an area this is, because it's not something that we see all the time, you know? But like architecture and the old buildings here. Downtown Santa Ana, for those of you that don't know, is just such a cool area. But look how sick that church is though. Cooking, I cook all the time. Love cooking. It does a couple things for me. I love cooking because I'm getting to provide for my family, which I think is something that's so cool. And it helps me unwind a little bit. But honestly, I cook a little bit of everything. Just depends. So, I don't know. Steaks, I cook a lot of steak. Pasta, all that fun stuff. But
Let's take a stroll.
oh, all right. Actually, I love it, but my first real job was at McDonald's. And it's kind of funny, I worked there with some of my buddies and probably the worst employees in the planet, to be honest with you. I got in trouble, barely made it. I don't even know how long we lasted there. That one was an interesting one just because it was, like I said, my first real job. And then I've done a lot of construction stuff, personal training. Oh, here's a good one that goes to the perception of business ownership and people thinking that I had it made as we were building Hidden House. There was a time where we had several employees already and Hidden House just couldn't afford anything. We were still grinding, we were still struggling. I still wasn't taking a paycheck. And I ended up trying to get a job and worked a couple shifts as a hostess at a restaurant in Dana Point. Trying to become a server, but obviously like if you earn it, you're gonna just get thrown in there. And so here I am, my own business owner, working a hostess stand to try to get a serving job just to continue pursuing like thing of business. It's so wild to me because it's wild. And I don't think a lot of people have what it takes to do that. And again, that's where grittiness and perseverance come in, right? It would have been really easy for me to just throw in the towel and be like, no, I can't do this. I'm gonna take my experience, my resume, my military background, I'm gonna go get a job. The things that I share, those are the things that I remember. Those are the things that fuel me to continue to do the stuff that we're doing. Kind of a long-winded answer of saying like I've done a lot of jobs over the years in order to even just get to the place that I'm at today.
Click that button.
Thanks for watching. Just make sure you like it, you subscribe, you share it, comment on it, all of the above. Thank you.